Right, this is game 2 between Lizard and Ghazghkull, and you know, similar to the last matchup that I casted actually, in all fairness to our players, the standard really has picked up since the first round. These have been much more, these matches have been much more like actual StarCraft and less like just sort of feeling your way through the dark with your eyes closed. So that's really good to see. It's, I don't know, I get it's the teacher in me. It does kind of, it gives me a warm, warming glow to see people kind of start StarCraft and be terrible at it, and over the weeks that we run the competition actually start to become reasonably proficient players. It does. It warms the cockle. The what is that even a thing? Cockles? Do hearts have cockles? I'm sure that's an expression. I haven't just made that up. Anyway, heartwarming. Yeah, the point is, it's better, isn't it? It's better. This is better StarCraft that we're seeing than we have seen in round 1 and such. These guys look like they know what they're doing. They look like you could put them on the ladder and they wouldn't just take an absolute mincing. Okay, so the Overlord's going to come in and have a peek, and it's going to see the side core, etc. Not that much to see this early at the 2.5 minute mark. So what you want to do is get that Overlord, push on through, park him out the back somewhere, so that in, you know, maybe a minute, maybe somewhere about the 4.5 minute mark, you can bring that Overlord back in on a suicide run, and you can see what sort of tech there is and what is building from it. Because at that 4 minute mark, there will either be a Robo or a Twilight or another Stargate, almost for sure. This is pretty ambitious, straight up to 4 bases like this. I don't mind it, especially given that the Overlord has come through, and so you know that your opponent has got the Expo, isn't going for some sort of horrific 4-gate. But the issue is this phase extends longer than just the time it takes you to build these. It extends much longer than that, because what do you do with these bases? Do you saturate them with workers? Because if you are going to do that, it takes time to saturate 4 bases with workers. While you're doing that, you're not building units. So, you know, the effect of going straight up to 4 bases like this will still be being felt in, you know, right the way up to sort of 5.5, 6 minutes, because you'll have had to build so many more workers than you would have if you were only on 3 bases. And that will actually mean that until we get to about the 6 minute mark, you will have less units, not more. But of course the payoff is, if you make it past that sort of time frame and you have been steadily building workers, then your economy explodes, and by the time you get to 7 minutes, you've got a way bigger army than you would have had on the 3 base. So Lizard has, I think, scouted all 4, and that should be, you know, a warning sign. If you're on 2 base and your Zerg opponent is on 4, you need to do something about it, because you need to know that soon their economy is going to explode and you're going to get swamped. So, you know, one of the common things to do is you go, well, 4 base, that's greedy, I'm going to come and kill you. And you just go ahead and you drop another 5 gateways, you go up to 9 gates off 2 bases, and you just march across the map and you hope that your opponent has overdroned. As it happens though, Ghazghkull hasn't overdroned. I'm not sure what he has been building, because he doesn't really have an enormous army either. But look, these bases are not saturated. They're not. So I don't know what's been going on. Maybe he's been investing into something different, or look, that's what's going on. He's just been saving up. He's just been saving up. He's been saving it. Look at all these idle larvae. Look at them. Brr. Idle larvae. Idle larvae. Larvae not being used when you have got 4,000 minerals in the bank. That's inexcusable. You know, you're like, you mine this stuff, you turn it into units. If you're not building the units, what's the point in the mining? What's the point in any of it? You've got to build that army. You've got to be on it. You've got to have these hatcheries all on the same hotkey, and you've just got to be going through your inject cycle. Boom, queen inject, 20 seconds, queen inject, boom. Going through that inject cycle, And getting used to the idea that when you've got 4 bases, you've got all the money in the world to spend. So as those larvae pop, you hit your hotkey for your hatcheries and you just absolutely crap out a metric ton of whatever units you've chosen to build. Now, with that said, this army is bigger than lizards, but with the shield battery here, and I don't know, they're better quality units. The hydras are good against void rays for sure, and they are gonna, maybe not quite actually kill them all, almost. But they really, look, the floating thing, this map's underwater, but the hydras need something in front of them. So like typically that is roaches. You just have a line of roaches in front to just be shot in the face by the stalkers, because the roaches are armored and that's what they're good at. They're good at getting shot in the face, while the hydras put out your damage. So, you know, the DPS from hydras is beastly. They will focus on anything, much higher than the roaches, but they're squishy, they're light units. So those stalkers will crunch through them pretty quickly. That's why you need the combo. You've got to have something to soak up the fire for these hydras, and it could be lings. That's okay too. Lings are squishy, but of course you get 2 lings per larva, and they don't cost any gas, so you can just crap out 1 million of them, and they'll just get in the way. They'll just nibble at these stalkers and soak up fire while the hydras just pour on damage. Hydras on their own aren't really good against anything apart from air. You know, so if you've got like void rays or something coming for you, the voids will, the AI will attack the things that are attacking them. So they'll ignore the roaches and just focus on the hydras. So you don't need the roaches, but while there's stalkers on the ground as well, you definitely need a meat shield. So not the most successful attack, but look, 5,000 minerals, all this gas, you know. Ghazghkull really needs to get to grips with his macro, because look, there's still idle larvae here, there's idle larvae here, there's idle larvae here. I sound like a broken record with this, but you know, if you're not spending it, you're not winning. Simple as that. This fight could be close. This time there are some roaches, but they're kind of filtering through and turning up lit to the party, and in the end that looked incredibly one-sided. Let me just back that up a second, because it really didn't look like it should have been that one-sided. So I feel like the issue here is that, look, the meat shield is at the back, and you need you need the meat shield to be in the front. You really do. Also, another issue, I suspect some of these units, look, are shooting at buildings that don't shoot back. A lot of this stuff at the back isn't shooting at all. So, and of course, that's a move command. Ghazghkull has allowed his units to be controlled by the AI, and they spend their time trying to pick off the interceptors. You know, one of the most hideous things, one of the really obnoxious things about carriers when you're playing against them is that the AI shoots the interceptors, and it's the last thing you want. You want your stuff to be killing the ground army of the toss or killing the carriers themselves, but the AI doesn't do that. So you really have to be on top of the micro to do that. The way around it is to just build spellcasters. You know, if you've got those vipers, you grab the carriers and you pull them above your hydras, and your hydras one-shot the carrier, is one way to do it. Or you're using the neural parasite from your infestors, and you're just going, I see you've got carriers, no, they're my carriers, how do you like them apples? And the stalkers shoot them, and it's a win-win. Anyway, you know, neither player played badly there. Ghazghkull just coming out in second place, but you know, I quite like the move to 4 bases. But Ghazghkull, you've got to be on top of that macro. You've got to be turning those larvae into units. Otherwise, you just end up with that massive bank. Yeah, lizard. You know, the stay-at-home Protoss, but did the right thing staying at home, did have static D, did have the shield batteries, did expand like an absolute mofo. Look, we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases. 5, you know, that's not right, is it? So yeah, the one critique would be, once you're up on 5 bases, I think we can afford more than whatever that is at gateways and 3 stargates. You could easily double that. But apart from that, GG.